Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. We all think we know the story of the American Revolution, right? But what if I told you the key to victory wasn't really forged in Philadelphia, but in Paris? So that leads us to a really fascinating question. Why on earth would King Louis XVI of France, we're talking an absolute monarch here, help a bunch of American rebels fight for their independence against another king? It just doesn't seem to add up. And yeah, you might think, oh, it was all about liberty and brotherhood. But spoiler alert, the real story is way more about high-stakes geopolitics and, honestly, just good old-fashioned revenge. All right, first up, let's just take a second to appreciate how truly weird this alliance was. You've got one of the most powerful monarchies in the world backing a democratic revolution. And sure, it's true the American founders were inspired by French Enlightenment thinkers, but the French government, their motives were way more practical and, a bit cynical. So what was really behind this? Well, the answer lies in a rivalry that was old, bitter, and personal. France was still seriously stinging from a humiliating defeat to Great Britain in the 7 Years' War, which had ended just a decade earlier. And they were absolutely looking for some payback. And this quote right here, from the French Foreign Minister Vergennes, it just perfectly captures the mood in Versailles. For them, this wasn't about ideology at all. It was a cold, calculated move to knock their greatest strategic rival down a peg. And look, when we talk about humiliation, we are not kidding around. The scale of this loss was just immense. Before 1763, France had this huge North American empire. After the war, almost all of it was gone, handed over to Britain. They were absolutely determined to make them pay for that. So, with revenge on their mind, France decided to play a pretty risky game, starting with spies, secret deals, and a superstar. Way before any official alliance was signed, France started secretly funneling money and military supplies to the American rebels. They did it through a totally fake shell company, a classic clandestine operation. And this was not just pocket change. We are talking about massive amounts of supplies, arms for 25,000 soldiers, clothing, all sorts of munitions. And get this, up to 90% of the gunpowder the Americans used at the pivotal Battle of Saratoga was secretly supplied by the French. Without that aid, the revolution might have just fizzled out before it even got going. But secret aid wasn't going to be enough. To get France to commit fully, to go all in, the Americans sent their secret weapon to Paris, the 70-year-old scientist and statesman, Benjamin Franklin. And he was basically a rock star. Franklin was a huge celebrity in Paris. I mean, this was the guy who tamed lightning, a genius. His face was everywhere, on candy dishes, you name it. And he played the part perfectly. He'd show up to the super lavish French court in this simple fur cap, no powdered wig, and he just cultivated this image of a wise, rustic American that the French absolutely loved. And boy, did he play his cards right. He was a master of the waiting game, using his charm and, let's be honest, a little bit of bluffing. He was telling French officials the Continental Army had 80,000 men when, really, it was just a fraction of that size. He sold them on an idea of American strength that wasn't quite real, at least not yet. So that combination of Franklin's brilliant diplomacy and a crucial American victory on the battlefield, well, that was the tipping point. The whole world was about to get turned upside down. See, the American victory at Saratoga in 77, that was the proof France was waiting for. It showed that these colonists could actually win. So, in 1778, they made it official and signed a formal military alliance. A year later, France's ally, Spain, jumped into the fight against Britain too. And just like that, Britain's problem got a whole lot bigger. Suddenly, they weren't just fighting some colonists anymore. They were fighting a world war against the combined naval power of France and Spain. Britain's military was stretched dangerously thin. They had to defend their super valuable sugar islands in the Caribbean, their critical fortress at Gibraltar, and even their colonies all the way over in India. The war in America? All of a sudden, it became a much lower priority for them. This global distraction was exactly what the Americans needed, and it led directly to the decisive victory at Yorktown. You see, it was the French fleet that sealed off Chesapeake Bay, trapping the main British army and forcing them to surrender. And this is the key takeaway, right? No French Navy, no Yorktown. It really is that simple. But winning American independence came at a staggering cost. Not for America, though, for France. The war ended up costing France over 1.3 billion livres. That's a catastrophic amount of money that pushed its already shaky finances right over the edge. And you know what? They were warned. France's own finance minister, a guy named Turgot, had told the king this was going to happen. He said flat out, the first gunshot will drive the state to bankruptcy. And he was absolutely right. So this massive war debt, it just sets off this incredible chain reaction, like a row of dominoes. First, the debt cripples France. To fix it, the king tries to reform the tax system, but the nobility refuses to pay their share. This crisis forces him to call the Estates General, a huge assembly that hadn't met in 175 years. And that meeting, that was the spark that ignited the French Revolution. I mean, think about it. It's one of the great ironies of history, right? King Louis XVI's big gamble to weaken his rival worked, but it cost him his own throne, and eventually his life. He helped create one republic and ended up destroying his own monarchy. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Was the price really worth the prize? We'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explainers just like it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.